guys, welcome back to the Blank Bookshelf.
Today we're going to do a little bit of a rambly,
more discussion
of Sarah J Maas books, mostly Throne of Glass series, which we both read, and A Court of Thorns and Roses that only she has read.
Yes.
It's not going to be super in-depth. It's been about a year since we've read them. Well, it's been about a year since I've read these, and same with Paula. So
since I read this one. Months.
So it is a little bit rusty on it, but
yeah. We do need to go back through and reread Throne of Glass, and I want to reread Thorns and Roses. I don't think A Court of Thorns and Roses is really going to be his deal.
Yeah.
But
start off, Thorn of Glass is a great series.
yes.
I did have some issues with it, especially the first book. Like the first half of the book, I was having trouble getting into it. Large majority of it seemed like it was just going to be a love triangle and focus on nothing but romance. I'm not really that big on romance, so had a little bit of issues at first. A little bit into the second book I was having issues, but it definitely doesn't focus on romance. It has it in there, but it's not the focal point. Even though first book and a half, it really does seem like it's going to be a large focus on who's going to win Selena's / Aileen's heart.
Yeah, but after that, it takes kind of like a darker turn, kind of towards the Crown of Midnight, and then gets super dark by the end.
Sarah J Maas definitely does a really good job with her action scenes, and that definitely helps overshadow any issues I had with the romance. It was never enough romance to where I couldn't stand parts. Had a couple scenes where I kind of sped through reading them. Never enough to actually skip reading an entire section though.
Yeah. The world is so amazing. It's like magic has been like completely like outlawed, banned, all that stuff.
Yeah. Most people actually have no ability to do magic anymore, even if they used to.
The king of where this takes place, I think, rounded up everybody that could do magic and basically slain them all.
Yes, the King of Ireland has he's found a way to stop magic in at least the majority of the world. And anybody caught trying to do magic is, caught, imprisoned, tortured, probably killed.
Brutally.
Yes. But it's mainly following Selena, who was originally Aileen, Princess of Terrasen.
Yeah.
Her parents were actually assassinated, and she
ends up being raised.
Yes. She manages to escape, and she ends up being raised to become an assassin herself.
She's one of the most infamous and successful assassins in the land.
Yeah. In the beginning, it seems like it's all about who's going to win her heart. It's really about her trying to end up getting her kingdom back and pretty much saving the world from a couple big baddies. Starts out she's trying to defeat the King of Ireland, who's basically conquered the world, and turns into she's trying to fight off Fae Queen and basically demons from another world.
Yeah. With, some love interest thrown in.
Yes.
It's just the mix of it. But, yeah, I really loved it. Selene, Aileen.
Does get a little bit confusing at times, especially when it starts coming out that her name's really Aileen, and some people are still calling her Selena.
She's just an amazing character. I loved her. She's one of my favorite characters that Sarah J Maas has done. Female characters. She just is a total badass. She has a swagger. She knows she's the best, and she has absolutely no problem flaunting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's, like I said, one of my favorite ones.
There is some other issues, non-issue, really, with Sarah J Maas books. She does have a tendency of having characters basically do stuff completely behind the scenes where only they know something's going to happen. And so you're going into a situation expecting, with everything you know, everything the characters supposedly know, they're going to fail. And then it ends up coming off kind of Mary Sue-ish, the fact that they managed to pull it off because exactly what needed to happen for them to have any chance happens. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you, this is what happened, what I did.
Yeah, behind the scenes planning. But and that kind of does happen throughout, you know, there are definitely parts where that happens a lot in the Throne of Glass. It does happen in A Court of Thorns and Roses. Even a little bit in Crescent City.
Now, with Sarah J Maas, she also kind of uses that to her advantage, and sometimes surprising you when that kind of Mary Sue moment doesn't happen. So you're going into the situation saying they're going to fail, and you're like, now they're going to pull us out of the hat, and they don't.
No, man, and that one was a shocker. Like that little incident happened in Kingdom of Ash.
Yeah, there's one really bad one in Kingdom of Ash. There's no way that they're not going to pull this off. And it doesn't happen the way you expect. It's not really them pulling off something miraculous.
Yeah, no, and like when I got to that part in that book, I had to like completely put my phone down as I was reading it on an ebook because the paperback version hadn't come out yet. And yeah, I had to sit there for a minute, like it damn near made me cry because the characters that were involved in that issue. Man, dude. Why did she have to do it with that one? But that kind of leads me to like one of my favorite characters from this series is Manon. She is a Blackbeak witch, and one of the Iron Teeth.
Yeah.
And
yes,
man,
that's right. Yes, because in this world there is basically two types of witches. There's Iron Teeth, which are actually split into 3 different clans.
Yeah.
And then there's the good witches, the Crochin witches. But yeah, so there's the Blackbeaks, there's Blue Bloods, and then there's Yellow Legs, which our first real introduction to the Iron Teeth witches is very reminiscent of Baba Yellow Legs.
Well, that is Baba Yellow Legs, but it's based on Baba Yaga.
Well, I mean Baba Yaga. Sorry.
But yeah, a little bit of some Baba Yaga lore kind of gets mixed in just a little bit. Not like a whole bunch. It's just a very small taste, but it kind of leaves you wanting to like know a little bit more.
Okay.
But yeah, Manon has such an amazing character background or character arc, and I love the fact that who Manon really is. She's that morally gray character, and she doesn't change who she is. Her all the way down to her foundation does not really change. She will always do what is in her best interest or what is in her 13's best interest.
And to specify 13, and with all the Iron Teeth, they basically have covens of 13. It's kind of like, platoons.
Yeah, but yeah, so she will be as ruthless as she has to be, and she's not sorry for it. And I love that about her. I love the fact that she didn't change. She didn't go from being evil, morally gray to being all of a sudden really good at two shoes. Yeah. In the end, at the end of the series, Manon was still an evil character.
Yeah. I mean, she has her good moments, but it's not complete benevolence. That's not going to hurt me in the long run. Sure, I'll do the good thing right here.
Yeah.
It's probably going to benefit me.
Yeah, and then her her noble steed, Abraxas, just her wavering, and I just love him. He's so nice. Nice as in he might not chew you up and spit you out too quickly.
Yes, because of the loss of magic, because of the King of Ireland, they end up with wyverns. They used to fly brooms.
Yeah, and because of the magic, they can't. And they're actually like aging now, apparently.
Yes.
So, which they hate. But yeah. So Manon, she was an amazing character. I found myself reading a lot for her parts. Nothing against Elaine, just Manon really triggered me. Resonated with me a little bit. I loved her.
Yeah, there was definitely a decent amount of times where Manon was actually funner to read than a lot of Elaine's portions. Not all of Elaine's were worse than Manon's or anything.
Yeah. My least favorite character is Kale. Dude, I was telling him about it. Kale felt like how Hunt felt for me in Crescent City. Good, entertaining. Was he a necessity? No.
He spent far too much of the book being, the lawful good paladin. He doesn't always stick to exactly what's lawful good, but that's usually what his character was.
Yeah, he has a very strict moral code that he will not adhere or
go against.
Sorry, not adhere. Go against. And it just gets a little boring. I just don't really care for that.
Yeah. His most interesting parts is actually when he's going against his code, essentially.
Few and far between. And I hate the fact that he has his own book.
Yes, Tower of Dawn is pretty much just about following him and Nezrin. His
on again, off again.
Well, his coupling for the start of that book, because Sarah J Maas also has a tendency of kind of bait and switching couplings until everybody gets their happy ending. And Nezrin kind of seemed unnecessary for as an unnecessary character addition. It really came off like she was simply added as an attempt to give Kale his happy ending, and they didn't really fit together. By the end of the book, it makes more sense on why she was added, but it definitely seems like she was added just to give Kale a partner.
Yeah, and I didn't really even like Kale's partner in Tower of Dawn.
Or at the end.
Urine. Yeah, I don't really care for her either. There just wasn't anything that was, that really had a spark for them. But yeah, Tower of Dawn is probably my least favorite book. And that was a beating to get through. It was so hard to get through because, again, I did not care. I had no emotional attachments or anything for Kale or Urine, and I just really didn't see the point in it. So
there is interesting parts in Tower of Dawn, even if you don't like Kale. Just most of the actual character development in it isn't as interesting for us.
No.
In Tower of Dawn, they're going to the southern continent, so it's an entire new continent that we haven't read about, so there is some interesting stuff there. But the actual character development, not as interesting.
Yeah.
For us. We're not drawn to that type of character as much.
No. I like the dark, morally gray characters. Dorian had a really good character arc as well.
He's actually the son of the King of Ireland.
Yeah, and he helps Elaine a lot during the first part of it, and then him and Manon team up, and when he gets with Manon,
he kind of stops trying to be,
the goody two-shoes.
He wasn't exactly goody two-shoes, but
the pretty boy prince.
Yes, he was definitely a pretty boy prince. He not the type to get his hands dirty, more of just he was a playboy. That was his that was his non-lawful good, is just he was a playboy.
Yeah, and then by the time he gets with Manon, I mean, he's ready to throw in the towel on that and get his hands dirty if he has to, and do everything that he needs to do in order to survive. And so I did like that, but yeah, out of the guys, Rowan was probably my favorite out of this book. Out of the guys, just Rowan had that, you know, strong, silent type. Yeah, I don't know. He was cool. He was cool to read about. His history and all that stuff was really cool. And how he helped Elaine grow was really cool too. But yeah, I liked Throwing Glass. It was good. Has some definitely hard parts to read, and not bad writing or anything like that. It was just hit you right in the gut for a little bit. But at the same time, there were parts like happens in Court of Thorns and Roses and Crescent City. You know that the shit's gonna hit the fan, and then it's gonna get bad. But then all of a sudden, while it does hit the fan, it's not as bad as what you were thinking, because someone pulled the whole, "Oh, I'm gonna pull this right out of my trick bag and everything's gonna be fine." Come in and rescue and save the day. Magically. But yeah, it was a really good read. I cannot wait to jump into it.
Yep. As I said, if you're not really big into romance and you decide you do want to read them, bear with the first 2 books. I mean, by the second half of the second book, it's back into good action, less about the romance.
It gets pretty dark.
But the first book and the beginning of the second book still are seeming like they're focusing on the romance more than anything else. It's not just romance. If you get past it, they are awesome reads. Kind of junk food, but still fun to read.
Yeah, like all the characters are very well read.
Well written.
Yes. Well rounded.
Okay, that's
was what I was trying to say. So yeah.
Well, yeah, so that's Throne of Glass. If you do read them, Assassin's Blade is technically a prequel. You can read it before Throne of Glass, or you can read it after.
We read it.
We read Throne of Glass first and then Assassin's Blade. There is stuff mentioned in Assassin's Blade that isn't mentioned until later in the series. I think some as late as even Airfire, but it's not going to give you spoilers from those books. It's just some of Celine's history isn't really mentioned until those books. It's not truly a spoiler.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good book. I did have a bit of a hard time getting into the first part of Throne of Glass. It did take me a few months, but I put it down for a few months and then went back to it because everyone was telling me, no, you really need to read it. And it was just, it's a slow, her books seem to be a slow burn in the beginning. Yes. But man, it grabs you by the hand or the spine or whatever you want to call it, and grab you by the hair and drag you around, and you're just on for the ride now.
Yes. Yeah, this, other than Assassin's Blade, this would be the correct order. Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Airfire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, Kingdom of Ash. Assassin's Blade, of course, before or after Throne of Glass. Or you can completely skip it if you don't care about the time in between her basically escaping the assassin and the start of Throne of Glass. I would consider reading it at some point if you do read the series, but it's not necessarily you have to read this before the others.
It has characters in it that you're going to meet later on in the series that this gives you your first history on how Elena meets them. So yeah, that's Throne of Glass. It was really good. I loved it.
Now she's going to talk about one that I won't have much input on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've told him before, like, I really don't think A Court of Thorns and Roses is going to be for him. Where Throne of Glass was a little bit on the romancy side. I feel like A Court of Thorns and Roses is definitely heavier on the romance.
Kind of makes sense. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling,
Yes.
which is more about romance.
Yes.
It's more about a relationship.
Yeah. But yeah, like he said, Court of Thorns and Roses is definitely a more Beauty and the Beast retelling. I can't remember off the top of my head which Beauty and the Beast story. I think it's one of the original Beauty and the Beast stories or fables that is based on. And I can't remember what it is. But if you know, put it in the comment section. But yeah, so again with and the first book is The Court of Thorns and Roses, and The Throne of Glass. It did take me a little bit to get into it. I started reading it shortly. Started reading it like in the summer of last year, and I had such a hard time with it that I put it down. I didn't pick it up until about end of October, beginning of November. And one of the things is, besides it being a slow burn, it's the beginning of Thorns and Roses was almost like word for word. Oh, maybe not really word for word, because there was a few changes, but it was so similar to another book, another Beauty and the Beast retelling that I read, which was Hunted by Megan Spooner, and I really didn't enjoy that book. It was just very blah and boring, but like it had so many similarities that every time that I started reading it, I was seeing Hunted. And I was just like, if it's going to be exactly like Hunted, I really don't want to read this. But it turned out to not be. It got so much better. I love A Court of Thorns and Roses. It was so much fun. And like describing it to him, I was like, so imagine Belle thinking she fell in love with Gaston, and then the Beast comes and saves her from Gaston, and all the while really showing her who Gaston really is. And I kind of feel like that's the way that this took, and that her first, and it's again the whole bait and switch thing happened here. So yeah, so Court of Thorns and Roses follows Farah, and she unwittingly enacts or breaks a treaty. How do I describe that? But yeah, she ends up getting taken to the Fey realm where all this is happening, where she meets Tamlin, who is a shapeshifter, and he is the High Lord of the Spring Court, and he is virtually Gaston. A little spoiler there, but yeah, he's kind of Gaston. He's very arrogant, very he tries to be self-sacrificing, but in the end it's just not. But yeah, and she ends up in the end falling with Rhys, who really is made out to be the Beast. He's the big baddie. That's everyone's told her that Rhys is. You know, he's arrogant. He's manipulative. He's going to whatever is going on, he's going to work it for his ability and what's in his best interest only. And no, that's not the case. Rhys is a really, really cool guy. I love the way she did him. He's very strong and but he has a little soft side, but he's just really cool. I like him. But yeah, it's definitely heavier on the romance section. I did. There were definitely times where I had to like look back at this cover and it's like, is this YA? Really? Truly? YA? Because this is heavily detailed for a YA book. But it was so good. The stories were amazing. Farah, though, is not my favorite as Sarah J Maas character, or female character. She just seems to be a bit more mature, more rational almost, than say like Aline. And I loved Aline's attitude though. But yeah, so she did kind of pull again the whole bait and switch thing with Tamlin and Rhys. the ending for like Wings in Ruin, where it was still a happy ending, but she didn't try and pair everybody up quite as much. I mean, you can kind of see the way that that's starting to go with several characters. But it hasn't happened yet. She is still writing a 4th book, because this was supposed to end it. And A Court of Frost and Starlight is just a novel that kind of gives us a little bit more of an in-depth happy ending to Wings in Ruin. But yeah, so A Court book 4 is in the process, but I think it's going to follow different characters. It may not follow completely Farah and Reese. It's probably going to follow Nesta and Cassian. At least from what I could get from the sneak peek at the end of Frost and Starlight. But yeah, and again, she definitely was able to drag out those battle scenes, because there are some battle scenes, and really just prolong your suffering just a little bit, with some of the action scenes, and they're really intense sometimes. But yeah, it was so good. Completely different feel than A Court of Thorns and Roses. This one deals more with high fae politics. And I say high fae, not high fantasy, not like elves and stuff like that, and the druids and stuff. This is just, it's high lords, high ladies, stuff like that.
It's definitely fae courts.
Yeah, it deals with the fae courts. So a little bit more on the politics side, but it's still, in the end, it's still a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Only, Belle doesn't end up with, or the Beauty doesn't end up with Beast first. She has to go through Gaston, and Gaston's a prick. Obviously. But yeah, I loved it. It was so fun. I pretty much devoured these books, one after the other. There was times I was staying up late at night to read, because I couldn't go to sleep, and why go to sleep when you could read? And yeah, it was so much fun. I cannot wait to reread them. I can't wait till the 4th book comes out. Hopefully it still does. But yeah, so like there were some definitely similarities between the two writing styles, and it also kind of gave me a little bit what to expect for Crescent City, but just on like certain things, like the whole bait and switch with romancing, the trying to get a happy ending, pulling the impossible move out of the trick bag, stuff like that. And I haven't quite looked into it because I really don't want it to be spoiled for me if it is, but there is a little fan theory that while A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass aren't connected, there's a possibility that they might be, by one scene in particular. I believe it's towards the end of Kingdom of Ash that happens. So when I go back and read, I'll be able to really, really see it. But yeah, what did you just think of it?
I think so.
Well, when we're done, you can tell me. But yeah, there is a little scene where they might be connected, and if that's the case, holy crap, that's gonna be so awesome if by some chance you can connect them. But yeah, so I loved it. It was so fun. I loved it. It was so much fun. But yeah.
Yeah, that was our ramblings on Sarah J Maas's Throne of Glass and Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah.
The entire series, not just the first books.
Yeah, no, and like we understand that we did ramble a little bit. We didn't want to go into every single book because like there's a lot between both series. There was a lot of books. Yeah. But hopefully this piques your interest into 2 amazing series by an awesome author. Despite the little annoyances somewhat that we both share, it's totally still worth the read. She is such a fun author, and I adored Crescent City. It was a lot of fun. It was a really good book. So, yeah, she's definitely one I will continuously buy for. She's just amazing. She knows how to build her worlds and knows how to write really good, kick-ass female characters.
Yep. Yes, a very good world building.
Yeah.
It's like, while she does start her series a little slow and does have the almost Mary Sue type moments, everything else is great. And it's not even full on Mary Sue, it's just
tendencies.
Just to give you the suspense, the character's hiding it from everybody.
Yeah, you can almost kind of pinpoint when that's about to happen because the characters kind of go off onto their like it's like almost mentally you can see the characters putting their heads together and shutting everyone else out. But yeah, no, again, I mean we can't not say it enough. These are great series, and Sarah J Maas really is a really good writer. And yeah, this is a series two series I try and push on to everybody. I am definitely, I don't take no for an answer. Go out and buy these books. Or rent them. Do something, but get your hands on these books. They're amazing. But yeah.
So if you haven't yet, like, comment, subscribe. Want to actually discuss the books a little bit more in depth, feel free to leave a comment. We'll gladly talk your ear off.
Oh gosh, yes.
Hopefully rambling a little bit less.
Do forgive us.
Trying to dance around not giving too much of spoilers, because these are really great to read. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who decides they will pick it up.
Yes. Hopefully you'll fall in love with the characters as much as we did, especially Manon. And Reese from the series. But yeah, so yeah, get your hands on them. They're amazing. You won't be disappointed. Trust us. But yeah.
Look forward to her discussion on Crescent City. Till next time.
Bye.